It's absolutely incredible to see. I don't know, the owners and the Germans and the shareholders, the guy who invested.
Welcome to Etihad Stadium, home to Premier League juggernauts Manchester City. And there's lots of banners on display detailing some of the amazing successes of Manchester City over recent.
This isn't just a new season, it's a brand new chapter in the Pep Guardiola era at Manchester City. New faces, fresh energy, but with that come new problems. If City signs Mats Renders, if they bring in Ryan Cherki, where does that leave Rodri? Where does Kovacic fit? And where will all these players actually play? Signing them was the easy part. Who wouldn't want to play for one of the greatest managers of all time? At a club that's dominated the Premier League for a decade? The decision to join was simple. But now comes the hard part. How will Pep keep everyone happy? Cherki, Aït-Nouri, and Renders. This trio is insane, three top-class talents, but Pep's first challenge will be integrating them into his system. He's a tactical genius. But 99% of players still go through a transition phase under him. His system is one of the most demanding in world football. Even Rodri, who's now a Ballon d'Or contender, struggled in his early days at City before he truly understood what Pep needed from him. Let's start with Aït-Nouri, a naturally attacking fullback, fearless on the ball, excellent in 1v1 situations, and loves to push high up the pitch. Pep will have to make a big decision. Can the Algerian become a creative force from fullback? Or will his defensive lapses cost the team, especially in high-stakes matches? Because City cannot afford a weak link in defense, especially out wide. Remember 2023? João Cancelo was a beast going forward. So much technical quality, so much creativity, just like Aït-Nouri. But Pep still dropped him at times, because he couldn't trust him defensively. Aït-Nouri looked great at Wolves, but let's not forget he played as a left wing-back in a back three. That means less defensive responsibility, and even if he got beaten, there were three center-backs behind him. At City, he'll be the starting left-back in a back four. That's a huge difference. Every single mistake will be under a microscope. So Pep needs to find a balance. Because on the ball, Aït-Nouri adds a whole new layer of creativity. We're talking about a fullback who can make something happen out of nothing. He's even played as a false nine for Wolves once or twice. That's the kind of attacking instincts he has. But that's a luxury not every team can afford. And City, especially in big games, don't take chances. Then there's Ryan Cherki, arguably one of the most technically gifted young players in all of Europe. But yes, he comes with a little baggage. Some say he slows the game down, holds onto the ball too long. Others argue he's a liability without the ball. Cherki was allowed complete freedom at Lyon. He did whatever he wanted. At City, there's structure, there's a plan. Now don't get me wrong, Pep isn't going to turn him into a robot. Despite what people on Twitter say, Pep gives creative players room to shine. But what he needs from Cherki is better decision-making. When to dribble, when to pass. Pep's no stranger to Mavericks. He's coached Messi. He's managed Ribery. He's unleashed De Bruyne. If you're a top talent, Pep lets you express yourself, but you still need to play smart. And that's exactly what City needs right now. Someone who can break apart bus, take over a game on their own. That's what Cherki brings. The ball sticks to his feet. He's two-footed, doesn't rely on speed or strength. Just pure football IQ, ball control, and a stunning variety of finishing. You've seen the training clips. Yes, it's training, but the range is real. Finesses, power strikes, cheeky dinks, left foot, right foot. He can do it all. He's done it for Lyon, for France. He chipped Onana in the Europa League, volleyed one in during the Nations League. He was the main attraction in a game that featured Mbappe and Dembele. But again, the red flag, what he does without the ball. Watch that match against Spain. Everyone praised his goal and assist. But look closely. He was late applying pressure on Dean Huijsen during the build-up. That gave Spain time to find Zubimendi, then Pedro Porro, and eventually Lamine Yamal for their fifth goal. This is the issue. On the ball, he's a magician. off the ball. Pep has work to do. If he doesn't fix that, the internet will be spamming memes like Chirira and beef Cherki every time City concede.
Now let's talk about Mats Renders, a complete box-to-box midfielder who, on paper, looks like a younger version of Ilkay Gundogan. He's composed on the ball, reads the game well, and has that natural instinct to arrive late in the box and score goals.
It's still, about competing.
He can dictate tempo from deep or push forward to hurt teams in the final third. He's basically a dream central midfielder for Guardiola. But there's one concern: physicality. Renders is aggressive, sure, but winning physical duels isn't exactly his strength. And that's going to be a bigger challenge in the Premier League, where intensity and pace are unforgiving. So now Pep needs to figure out how to use him. Does he sit deep, play as a number 6 collecting the ball from defenders and keeping the team ticking? Or does Pep push him higher, closer to the box, to link up with forwards and add goals? The good news: Renders has already performed well on the big stage. He's been solid in the Champions League. He's delivered at the Euros. He's clearly not overwhelmed by pressure, but a transition period is inevitable. This is the kind of challenge Pep thrives on. Renders is versatile, but for him to succeed, Pep has to give him a clear, defined role. Chances are, early on in the season, you'll see him rotated and tested in different setups, until Pep figures out the best version. Rodri's return: City's spine is back. Now let's move on to the most crucial comeback: Rodri. In 2025, he missed almost the entire season, and City looked like a completely different team without him. Here's the stat that says it all. With Rodri, 78 matches, only 1 defeat. Without Rodri, 16 matches, 5 defeats. That alone shows just how important he is. Rodri is the spine of the team. The one who brings calm, balance, control. Ironically, it was his absence that probably boosted his Ballon d'Or case. The team completely fell apart without him, and his value became undeniable. But coming back from a long-term injury is never easy. It takes time, not just physically, but mentally as well. Pep needs to reintegrate him slowly. Build back match fitness. Give him the confidence to return to his peak, without rushing things. Fans need to understand this too. He won't immediately be the Rodri we saw dominating games in 2023-24. It'll take time. Oscar Bob, forgotten breakout star. And what about Oscar Bob? In late 2024, he looked like the next breakout star for City. An unbelievable dribbler. Two-footed. Capable of playing on either wing. He brought creativity, composure, and unpredictability, everything Pep loves in a young winger. But then came injury. And since then, the squad has evolved. Jeremy Doku. Savio. Competition is even tougher now. For Bob, it's no longer about making his debut, it's about earning his way back into the rotation. Pep won't rush him. But he won't forget him either. He'll manage Bob carefully, easing him in, building up rhythm, waiting for the right moment. Because if Oscar Bob can return to form, City gain another X-factor player. Pep's biggest puzzle: too many players, too little time. And that leads us to Pep's biggest problem this season: balancing the squad. You've got new signings like Cherki, Renders, and Atnori. And you've got returning stars like Rodri and Bob. Competition is brutal. Talent is everywhere. And everyone wants minutes. Rotation isn't just a strategy anymore, it's a necessity. Because City compete on every front: Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, Club World Cup. But rotation also brings challenges. Get it wrong, and you damage team chemistry. Players lose rhythm. Egos flare up. In the past, Pep has always found ways to integrate new arrivals without sacrificing performance. But this season, the pressure is even higher. Because now, the margin for error is razor thin. City are expected to bounce back and win everything. Again.
Phil Foden, from star boy to uncertain. Let's talk about Phil Foden, City's golden boy. In 2024, it felt like he had finally become the guy. He had shaken off the Wonder Kid tag. He was no longer just potential. He was performing at a world-class level. Remember when Jamie Carragher said, "We're no longer the De Bruyne team, we're the Foden team." Edge-of-the-box screamers. Dazzling dribbles. Defense-splitting passes. Foden was flying. He had taken the next step. Then came 2025, and everything changed. Suddenly, the magic was gone. No more highlight reel goals. No more bursting runs. He looked like a shadow of himself. It was one of the strangest dips we've seen in recent years. He didn't look like the Stockport Messi. He looked like the Stockport Garnacho. Critics said maybe 2024 was just a lucky year. But one person never doubted Foden, Pep Guardiola. Pep has known him since he was a kid. When people said send him on loan, Pep kept him at City. When fans demanded more minutes, Pep said patience. That bond could be the key to bringing Foden back. It wasn't just mental, it was tactical. Foden's dip wasn't just about confidence. The system around him changed. Haaland was injured. Rodri was missing. Foden wasn't getting the ball in the same pockets of space where he used to thrive. He wasn't making the same movements, not because he forgot how, but because the team's shape shifted. Now Pep has a new challenge. What's the best version of Phil Foden in this new squad? Does he play as a number 10, closer to goal, where he can cause chaos? Or should he go back out wide, where he can isolate defenders and cut inside? Both roles have worked before, but the real issue is confidence. Foden hasn't lost his ability. He's just lost rhythm, and Pep needs to help him find it again. If Foden regains form, City have a match winner on their hands. Kevin De Bruyne, replacing the irreplaceable. Now comes the biggest hole in the squad. Kevin De Bruyne is gone. For nearly a decade, he was the heartbeat of the team. He saw passes no one else could. He created angles that didn't exist. He was the tempo, the structure, the final pass, all in one. Even in 2024, when he missed half the season through injury, he came back and instantly showed he was still levels above everyone else. Now, for the first time in years, City must prepare for life without him. And this isn't a plug-and-play situation. There's no like-for-like replacement for Kevin. Pep has to rethink the midfield. The creative load will need to be shared between Foden, Cherki, and Claudio Echeverri. Foden can match the stats, but not the role alone. Foden is the obvious choice to replicate De Bruyne's numbers. He's played alongside him for years. He understands the rhythm. He knows how to drift into dangerous areas. And yes, in 2024, when KDB was out, it was Foden who stepped up. But being the primary creator is a different responsibility. It's one thing to float between the lines and finish chances. It's another to dictate tempo and unlock low blocks with one pass. Foden is more of a finisher than a creator. Cherki, the artist, not the architect. This is where Cherki comes in. He's two-footed like De Bruyne. He's not as structured. He's more like an artist. He's got unpredictability, tight space dribbling, vision. But does he have the discipline to run a midfield? KDB could launch an attack with just one perfectly timed ball. Cherki likes to hold on to it, feel the moment, take players on. So Pep needs to find a way to use his creative spark without slowing the entire game down. Claudio Echeverri, the future, maybe the present. Then there's Claudio Echeverri, a teenage talent, maybe one of the most exciting young playmakers in world football. He's got that South American flair, that edge. He dominated youth tournaments for Argentina. He shined at River Plate. And in a City shirt, he's already shown flashes. Close control, smart passing, quick transitions. But is he ready right now? Pep won't rush him. He'll protect his confidence, nurture his growth. In the long run, Echeverri could become the perfect playmaker. In the short run, Pep will lean more on Foden and Cherki. KDB's absence is psychological too. De Bruyne's absence isn't just tactical, it's emotional. It's leadership. In the toughest moments, City looked to Kevin. Remember that iconic photo of him tying his boots before destroying Aston Villa? That wasn't just cool, that was presence. Now someone else has to become that figure. That calm, that spark, that certainty. Pep doesn't just need tactics. He needs someone who brings belief. City need to play more direct. If there's one thing Manchester City must do more of this season, it's this. Be more direct. For all of Pep Guardiola's tactical brilliance, his teams sometimes look like they're playing in slow motion. Yes, they dominate possession, but without purpose. And never got the ball. That's not a Haaland problem, that's a system problem. Now City have invested in players like Marmoush, players built for direct attacks and transitions. And if they're not going to play to their strengths, what's the point? Marmoush, speed, chaos, and goals. Marmoush brings something different to the table. He's not a tiki-taka player. He thrives in chaos. He's fast, aggressive, fearless. Put him alongside a fully fit Haaland and defenders will have nightmares. But again, it only works if the ball reaches them on time. This is where Pep needs to evolve. City don't need to abandon their identity, but they must find a better balance. Control possession, yes, but when there's space, attack it. There were far too many games in the past few seasons where Pep's midfielders hesitated. By the time the pass was played, the opportunity was gone. It's not a new problem. Even back when Leroy Sane and Raheem Sterling were flying down the wings, City looked unstoppable when they were ruthless. They need to rediscover that edge. The right-back crisis. Who replaces Kyle Walker? Let's switch to the defense. For years, Kyle Walker was a rock on the right. His recovery speed was ridiculous one-on-one. He was almost unbeatable, but Walker's form has taken a nosedive. His defending has become shaky. And now, for the first time in a long time, Pep has to ask a scary question: who is my right back? It looks like Pep is putting his faith in Husinov. He's young, fast, aggressive, a raw talent with lots of upside. But can you really rely on a teenager to defend elite wingers, one-on-one, for 90 minutes? Can he stay focused in huge Champions League nights? He might grow into the role, but City can't afford experiments, and behind him the depth is thin. There's no queue of reliable right-backs waiting. That's why City are targeting Tino Livramento. If he comes in, Pep gets options, and options are what City desperately need in defense. Because truth is, City conceded too many goals in 2025. They weren't tight, they weren't sharp, and that needs to change. On paper, this squad is stacked. Cherki, Renders, Marmoush, Foden, Bob, Rodri, Doka, Savio. But the more talent you have, the harder it gets to keep everyone happy. Everyone wants to play, everyone wants minutes. Rotations won't just be about fatigue. They'll be about managing egos. And this season the pressure is higher than ever because everyone's watching, everyone expects trophies. This is Pep's biggest test, not just tactically but emotionally. He doesn't just have to manage a football team, he has to manage personalities. So now comes the big question: can Manchester City win the treble again? Can Pep blend new stars with old legends? Can he revive Foden's form? Can he unlock Cherki's genius while fixing his defensive flaws? Can Renders adapt to the Premier League? Can he get Haaland the service he needs? Can he build a midfield without De Bruyne? So many pieces, so many variables. But if there's one manager in world football who thrives on this kind of challenge, it's the bald genius on the sidelines, because Pep Guardiola doesn't just build teams, he builds dynasties. And if he gets this puzzle right, Manchester City could dominate once again.